This episode of the SyFy Sistas podcast is in memory of Donald C. Davidson, the father of our Trek Geek co-producer, Dan Davidson. The SyFy Sistas would like to extend our sympathies to the entire Davidson family.
Everybody, welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. We are proud members of the Trek Geeks Network, and we are so happy to bring you SyFy Sistas show, episode 16, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 5, Truth. I'm Tamia Harper, and today I'm joined by my SyFy sisters, Sabrina Wood.
I'm going back to whoop whoop.
Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
And J.D. Keeling.
Arrivederci.
Hello. So we have a lot to dive into on the Sam and Bucky show today. And as usual, our guide through this MCU story is going to be the fabulous, the one and only, the fly sister, J.D. J.D., take it away, sis.
All right. So today we will be going over The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 5, Truth. If you have not seen the episode, I feel like at this point, we're 5 episodes in. It's been weeks, guys. Like, you don't gotta wait for a new episode just to watch it, but go ahead, pause. Okay, I'm assuming you're done now. So let's begin with the episode, which it's an episode, starts off strong, ends with a lot of montages I could have lived without. But back to the beginning. We come in hot with John Walker having a bit of a moment after killing that guy. It's actually really interesting because he is having all sorts of crazy man flashbacks and is going through some deep emotions. But it's not about what he did, but rather his motive. Because it's clear John Walker does not feel bad for what he did. He feels bad for what he let happen. And I find that amazing. So let's dive in. What do y'all think?
Don't everybody jump at once.
Yeah, like, honestly, I keep talking about this.
I want you to expound a little bit on what you mean by he feels bad for what he let happen.
Oh, with Lamar. Like, if you watch the flashbacks, what he is flashing back to is Lamar dying. He doesn't care that he killed a man. He doesn't care that people saw. What he cares about is he let his best friend die. That's on him, and he feels that. That murder, that had to happen, obviously. He let his friend die. The man killed his friend, so obviously he had to die too. Well, at least in the mind of John Walker.
Right, okay, thank you. Yeah, because he's immediately justifying his actions, right? You know, I mean, I get you with that, though, that he's focused on what he let happen, that he saw it as a personal failing that his friend died. You know, I was just like, I knew that we were, well, let me back up. I liked the way that they opened the episode and how they filmed and related the psychotic break that he was happening. You know, I felt like I could understand what they were trying to tell me, and that this man had become completely unhinged at this point. You know, so I really appreciated how they did that. I mean, I knew it was coming. I knew he was unhinged when, you know, he killed this dude with the shield, and it wasn't even the person who killed his friend. You know, and then I know later that we will see more evidence of the fracture of reality in his head, like when he goes to see Lamar's parents. So
what got me about the scene is that I agree with J.D. completely. He is not remorseful in the least about killing that guy who's not Lamar's murderer, and he doesn't care at all that he's like, I don't care, I would have just killed them all. And I think there was one part where he says in this that he's not like Bucky. He's not like Bucky, and it was like, Bucky has always struggled with that thing that, he wasn't feeling any remorse when he was the Winter Soldier, and now that has all been removed from Bucky, now he's feeling the remorse. And so I thought that was really interesting. I said, well, you're right on the Winter Soldier path now, buddy, because you're not feeling anything. So, and Bucky's telling him, I'll check on you in a couple of days. But that was interesting that he said he didn't have any feeling for it at all. He was just mad that Lamar was dead. And I understood that too. I mean, I did really like this whole way they set this up, because you get it, that he is mad, that he is unhinged. This is his boy.
Got nothing.
Thank you for that amazing commentary, Yvette.
Anytime.
But, you have Sam. He tries to talk John down. John's not having it. And then we get this really epic fight choreo that was, A, just lovely, and B, absolutely horrifying. I know fear after watching John Walker take down Bucky, take down Bucky's arm, take down Sam, take down Sam's wings, just like rip those off. It took a super soldier and Sam to take down one crazy white dude. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah, the evil that was in his face when he was fighting them, telling them, I am Captain America. He had lost it at that point, and he thought he was, that privilege was emulating all over him. It was like an aura of this is who I am. Nobody could tell me different, and I'm going to take down anybody who thinks different. It was pretty scary.
It was scary to me also because we see that same expression on people in our country right now, today, and he encapsulated that and embodied that so well that, we're telling this story through this lens of him being Captain America, but it's really what Black folks and other folks are dealing with in this country when, there's a segment of the population that feels like they are being unseated and that they have to unseated and that they are losing power and losing their control over things. And it's manifesting in very unadulterated and pure hate. And that hate is stemming from a deep, deep fear, and a real well of insecurity. So that's why that scene is so effective to me, because it's very real, and also, did anybody else know that Bucky's arm could be shorted out?
That was really, I had to roll back and watch that again because I saw his arm. What is going on?
It's like the Wakandans did him in. I was like, dang, they didn't tell him they could be taken off. They didn't tell him they could be shorted out. I was like, James.
I'm going to go back to the scene with John Walker and Sam at the end, because that was, like you said, JD, that was a great fight, but it was really a very scary fight. I mean, they were just going at it. And there was a couple of times in there where Bucky was fighting for that shield. I think the one scene when Bucky just kept pounding on the shield. He just hit it and hit it and hit it. But the scene when Walker takes that helmet off and you see he is absolutely crazy. I'm going to take you really to a very dark place. When he was standing over Sam, and then when he ripped the wings off, I said, oh, are we just kind of it was like almost like a castration scene. I was just like, he just castrated the Falcon. I was just like, what are you showing me?
Yeah.
What are you doing to me? It was just too much for me.
It was painful.
What?
It was painful to watch. And then, yesterday was it yesterday? Was the anniversary Tuesday of George Floyd's death? And, when that trial was playing, murder. Thank you. Let's call it what it is, murder. And when that trial was playing again, that video, when the trial started, they played the video over again, the entire thing, the entire 9 minutes and some change, right? And I saw John in Derek Chauvin's expression and face too, as he was kneeling on George Floyd, killing him. I saw the same man, and so I thought that, these scenes are very heavy. They were not just a comic book hero, fighting to me.
Chauvin is like, he's something evil, because that man showed he was just plain cool with the whole thing. I mean, this character is, like you said, he's fracturing, he's losing his mind. You've got some sort of something that you can identify with as to why he's so angry, even if you don't agree. But Chauvin is just pure freaking evil. I wouldn't even. Ugh.
Well, there was that look of satisfaction and smugness on his face as he was doing it, and both the character John and Derek Chauvin, they both exhibited that same thing, and so that's why I feel like they're very akin,
in that moment. But
in that moment,
I wouldn't even put John in that same level of hell. In that
moment, it was very
going to be in.
It was very reminiscent.
Anyway,
to me,
that was a tough scene to watch. And then, of course, Bucky tosses that shield down at Sam and looks at him. I said, between the Wakandas tossing that shield off and Sam tossing that shield off, they just be tossing shields. What is up?
Well, that was Bucky also telling him once again, why did you give up the shield?
Right. Like, this is yours. Take it.
Right. Take it.
Pick it up.
You would have took it in the first place, you wouldn't be here.
Stop running from responsibility. Pick it up.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was so emotional for Bucky. He's been, like you said, Steve, he and Steve, it's been 90 years of friendship for him. I mean, of course, Steve has been dead, but, that whole thing with Bucky, for Bucky to say to him like this, this is all I ever had. The shield was as much family for me as anything I have. And he's giving it to Sam. He's like, look, are you picking up on this yet? You're the man. It was a deep scene. That whole fight in the end was really very, very emotional.
Yeah, and we also see Sam, I'll say almost like slowly coming to terms with it, because he could live with Walker having it. Well, he could live with no one having it. That would have been preferred. But when the government gave it to Walker, he said, okay, this is what's happening. Not my monkey, not my circus. And he learned to live with that. Right up until him holding this blood-soaked shield and desperately trying to clean it. And he's all like, nope, I fucked up. I did bad. I shouldn't have let this happen. So like that it's not until that moment where you finally see Sam realize, oh, this means something. This means something real. Not everyone can hold this.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then we have a slightly lighter moment of our boy Torres coming in, cleaning up a little.
Torres, what did you do to this?
I know, right? What happened to these? What happened to these wings?
Poor Torres is stressed, man. Like, you're not supposed to ruin the wings, Sam.
I like that moment. I understand. I mean, because otherwise, I understand based on what you've told us, JD, about who Taurus's character develops into, why that scene is there, because otherwise it's a completely unnecessary scene to me.
For those of you who decided to listen to episode 5 and not episode 1, in the comic books, Taurus is actually the current Falcon. So
and
for him to be a little stressed about the wings is natural.
Right, it's natural. And then we have Sam literally handing the wings off to him. So keep them. You know, they're yours. Keep them.
In a sense, it's more like
they belong to the government, though.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
It's as nice as a send off as Taurus is gonna get. You know, Falcon wasn't no Captain America, so it doesn't require the gravitas.
Right.
But then we go into the next scene, and I just want to get some opinions on this one. We go back to Washington, D.C., and Walker's in front of the senator, right?
Yeah.
So that scene really got me. Like, this was complete. You're not even going to court-martial this man? He's standing there yelling and screaming at you still, and you still ain't going to do it? And where is the shield? You're just asking him to give it back.
Well, they're not going to court-martial him. He got 3.
We weren't even thinking about it.
What? That wouldn't even be realistic to do that. You know, they would never do that to him. You know, he has too many
medals.
Yes, and medals that everyone doesn't get. You know, and 3 of them for one day. Nah, they not court-martial.
Like
it's worse because they gave him other than honorable discharge. That is the worst thing you could ever do to a soldier.
General discharge.
It wasn't just that. It wasn't
not general.
It was other than honorable discharge. He got his retirement taken away.
Right.
Yeah, like he lost all benefits.
So he lost everything.
He lost everything in that moment.
Yeah, but his medals, he still kept his medals. See how much that's worth, right?
Right.
Yeah, they took
and
it.
Walked in,
and that
gave him back and was still talking all the way out the door. It's like, wow.
Well, I mean,
that would have been the same.
Walker.
What, JD?
With Walker, this is another one of those moments where we really see how he approaches life, because he tells them, I only ever did what you asked of me, what you told me to be and trained me to do. Like he is telling, like, they won't even let him speak, which is really all he wants. He just wants to say what happened, and he's getting very stressed out because the boy is already, a little off the deep end. So he's getting very stressed that they won't just listen to him when in his mind, he's done everything they ever wanted him to do. Like, he has been that perfect soldier. He has lived through hell. The least they could do is just let him speak.
Right.
It's just it's that soldier trope that they always throw. The soldier did what you told me to do, and now you want to tell me that I'm wrong, but I just did what you told me to do. I'm just who you made me. Mm-hmm. So that's what he was. He's like, let me speak. I am Captain America. And they're like, not anymore.
Right. And I understand it from his very warped mind perspective. And what makes it so heartbreaking is that he does have all that history of service to the country, and was a good soldier, quote unquote, right?
He was a good soldier.
He was a good soldier for real, and he was a quote unquote good soldier also, and so to feel like I'm being ignored and censored because I'm doing, what I was trained to do, is one thing. But the other part of that we can't lose sight of is that you weren't trained to go off the deep end and kill this person who didn't do anything. That's not, and they're telling him like, shorty, you went way beyond anything,
I will say, if you really look at the scene just prior to it, the moment, not even in, the body isn't even cold yet, and the GRC has already decided, oh, here's a good government opportunity. They just killed a man. We're going to go invade all their space to figure out where these terrorists are.
Yeah.
Like, they invaded a refugee camp on the suspicion that Carly might be there.
Right.
So they don't, like, it's not, so it's like what Yvette said. It's not the fact that John did it. They could care less. That's kind of the goal there. They want those guys dead.
Yeah. That's the whole point. That was the reason why they gave him the shield.
Right.
His job was to get them. That came in episode 2? That was their job to go get these guys.
His job wasn't to protect people, and save people. His job was to do this one thing. Right. His job was to be an enforcer.
Right. And they just put Captain America on it so that people would think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. And this is going to annoy a lot of Steve Rogers fans, but it is what Captain America is. He is the soldier we send in to take out the bad guys.
Right.
It's the difference is with Steve, he's fighting Nazis and Hydra. Like, you can't really defend, be like, oh, well, that Nazi, he was a really great guy and taught Little League on the weekend. No, still a Nazi.
Right.
When you're talking about, like, oh, these refugees that we displaced that are now mad at us, you got to go kill them. That's when it starts sounding a little bad.
Yeah. That's sort of what Zemo was saying, when he was saying, this whole thing of super soldiers is a bad idea, even when it's the Avengers, because just because you're putting them against, truly bad people. Here we are in this case, you've got a super soldier, and you got a little gray area here about what these people are, and you're gray as well. And Zemo was saying you shouldn't have anybody like this. So it's a really I like this episode because it really does make you think about what's kind of going on today, what people are trying to say today, and there are no hard and fast. It's this side and that side. It's red and it's black. It's just not as cut as it should be. I mean, you think Walker is the bad guy, but like we said, his whole mission was to get the Flag Smashers, and then when I go get the guy, you take everything away from me because it was on tape. Oops, sorry.
Right, and that was my whole point. That's what I was getting to, was that they show these really complicated issues. They're it's like you said, it's really gray. It's not a definitive and simplistic. This is bad. This is good. He's a good guy. She's a bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, you brought me back from that scene because I was just like, this white man is going to pop. Okay, all right. Based on what all of you have said, I'm looking at the scene with new eyes. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Tamia. Thank you, J.D. All right.
Yeah.
I was just like, this, that'd have been a brother. Oh my God, he would have shot him right there in the room. But you know what? Did they just let him, my question, me, I always have the, I'm not sure what happened question. Did they know that they knew he had taken the serum, right? And they just said, oh, we're not going to give you a pension. We're not going to give you, all your benefits, but we know you're a super soldier. Didn't they watch Speed? Because, once the retiree gets his pension and everything taken away from him, he goes crazy and starts blowing up shit. They weren't worried about
Well,
you just let a super soldier go and you took his pension away?
Did they know he was a super soldier?
I'm sure they all knew he was a super soldier. I'm sure, I'm sure that got leaked out some kind of way. What I was thinking about was that what we saw was the public face of what Val was representing. When Val came into the picture, and I know I'm jumping forward in the show, but
no, she's right after that scene.
No, this is next.
Those people know on those committees, this is what we have to do for the public face, but they had that job set up for him. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew that you cannot tell me that intelligence doesn't know this already.
They
had another plan. They were not going to let this weapon be out there loose. Okay. You can't afford to make an enemy of that, and you might as well keep it as your tool and make use of it.
Somebody else will.
Or somebody else will. Exactly.
Another dot for me. Because I was just like, how are you letting him walk out of here?
Since we're on the subject of Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontan,
I love her. Or Val.
Played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
The best.
Let me just say, like, for those who don't know anything about the character, who is, I believe, supposed to be in Black Widow coming out this summer. Why am I promoting Marvel films? It's kind of my job. Anyways, the character first appeared back in 1967. She's a recurring character in the world of Captain America. She was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She used to date Nick Fury, which if we go that route for the MCU, which I'm rooting for, I want to see that. That would be hilarious. Samuel L. Jackson, Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Oh my! You don't know you be in your seats dying.
Yes,
I pay money. I pay money.
I pay money to see that. Yeah, I would.
Anyways, she is also, like, in the comics, she kind of drove like a little wedge between Cap and Fury because she would not stop flirting with Cap. She also did the same when Cap was with Sharon Carter. Girl really likes herself some Captain America. Either way, in the 2009 issue of Secret Warriors, it turned out she secretly joined Hydra and was revealed to be a Russian sleeper agent her entire time with S.H.I.E.L.D. What part of this is going to be in the MCU? What? I personally have no idea.
Oh, I love it.
But I didn't know any of that other stuff, but I knew the Hydra part. I didn't know that other stuff.
I love it.
So we don't know what she's going to do.
Well, she gave such good, you don't know how deep my influence runs vibe. You don't know where I'm going to pop up next vibe. I was like, I'm all in for this story. You know, all in for her character. Yeah. First of all, it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Right. Yay. Right. Yay. I happen to have gone to the same high school as she did. And our drama teacher at that school is forever proud of her. And we never stopped hearing about it, those of us who came behind her. But rightfully so. She's amazingly talented. And, but yeah, I mean, so her bringing that character to life the way she did, I just can't wait. I could watch an entire show with her heading it up. She was I could just eat her up on the screen. Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. She's her presence. The minute I saw her walk in there, I was like, oh, is that what I think it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
These boots aren't made for walking.
That was the best. Did you see those things?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're like, no, they weren't made for walking.
No,
they were only made for posing.
That's
There's a razor blade in there somewhere. I know.
Jeez.
But yeah,
and
we got.
The other thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. She has a line in there that I am using for the rest of my life too, because she said, "These guys in ties." That was my favorite. Yeah. Okay, these guys in ties.
I mean, I felt like she had some of the best written dialogue of the whole episode. You know, her dialogue was great.
Yeah, but
we love the Countess.
I brought her up because of what Tamia was saying about the council having a plan for John, because just because of who Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is, you can't call her Val unless it's in your head, but don't do that either. Because of who she is, I could if Marvel told me, yep, council didn't know Jack, she has her own show going on behind the scenes, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's legit.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yeah.
All right, that makes me feel better, because I thought it was really very strange that they just let him walk out of that room.
Remind me to come back to her when we start talking about the power broker.
Okay,
in another episode.
So I have a Trek moment. I know.
Your turn. Yvette's turn.
It just like popped in my head. So I always, you know how I love Section 31. So I know people who say, why is there a need? I'm like, why is there a need for Section 31? I look at people strangely. I'm like, the moral ground. So Starfleet and the Federation is this moral entity that has to do good. So if you don't think that there has to be some bad guys underneath all this morality, you're crazy. So every time when I was looking at her and thinking about all of this, and when you guys were talking about why they let John walk out, and I was like, oh, this is like a Section 31 moment. So, you got to have those people because John, like you said, he's a super soldier. So you have to contain him, but you need to use him because there's certain things that, we can't let, dear old Sam, Uncle Sam do out there in the public because we don't want that moment again. We don't want people, watching him smash the shield in anybody's head again. So we have to have somebody that's off the radar to do it. So that's my Section 31 moment. That's my Trek moment for the...
I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
And
that's a good one.
And before moving on, I just want to say, I do love the card that Contessa gave John's wife because there was nothing on it.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, you have my card. But like, what is the purpose of this?
I even like the way she handed it to her.
She didn't even break stride or stop talking. She was just like, okay, girl, you were not pertinent to this conversation.
But I'm giving you the contact information. I guess we need a white light or something. I don't know.
Right? You are not germane to anything that is going on here. Can I just give a real quick shout out to the woman who plays John's wife? Because we totally ragged on her character last episode. But, she does a good job for what for playing the role that she's playing, his wife is supposed to play. And her name is, oh God, I hope I don't mess up her last name. Gabrielle Byndloss. Anybody know? It's Byndloss. And so she plays Olivia Walker. She's also starred in The Outsider and is starring in the Long Slow Exhale.
Olivia, she's there. She is the epitome of being there, stand by your man, no matter what. She is loyal to a really stupid fault because I would have left that guy 3 episodes in. But that's me.
She didn't leave him through the war and those 3 medals. She ain't leaving him now. No, that's with him. She's with him.
Yeah,
she loves that man.
Why should she leave him?
Why should she leave him? I don't understand that.
No. Look, I get standing by a man.
Yeah, but I don't think she thought he did anything wrong.
Don't stick with crazy.
She didn't. She's with him. She's she's ride or die.
She thought he was doing
which job. Is exactly that's why I say she is what she is, because again that's not someone you stay with. I'm sorry. After your man commits murder on international TV, that's a good point to just be like, maybe this isn't working.
I don't know. I'm not sure that
that's one more on the belt. She don't care. She's been with this man through a lot of horrors. She's staying with him. This is come on. Yeah, he's told me. I'm sure he's told her.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
What really went down.
She knows. If she's a soldier's wife, she knows a lot more than probably he told her.
Yeah.
And it's different. Well, JD, so being a soldier's family is a life that you deal with things that these people bring home, and
she's okay, now all the rest of y'all see what I have been living with. You just saw the one, and you got all crazy.
Yeah, but I think she thinks like everybody else that he did what he was told to do.
Exactly.
Right.
And she has to live with this man.
But I don't think she feels that it was wrong. I think you guys are putting it out there like she sees that what he did was wrong and she's just standing by him. I don't think she believes it's wrong at all. I think
I'm not putting it out there like that either.
No, she sees that this is just another thing that is going to be a thing on his soul. I mean, that she's seeing it as something that he's doing his job and now he has to live with this too. She said, I've already got him that he had to live with whatever happened that day, that he got 3 medals, and now this too. So, I'm here for the whole ride.
Yeah, I think I said we gave her crap last episode, or one of those episodes, talking about what black person is not pulling him up on some things, like I'm not like on his actions now. Like, we're just like, how are you married to this guy and you still are behaving this way? And the black people in your life have to take a little bit of responsibility for that. Not a whole bunch, but a little bit, but I think that you love a person, and when you get married, you are making a commitment to go through hell and high water with that person. For most of us who don't live in Hollywood, they're real and deep. And human beings go through hard times, and we are not always our best selves as we face challenges. And it's how we adapt and react to those challenges later. And you don't fall out of love with somebody just because you don't see them as having done the right thing. But I get the point that she doesn't see him as having done anything wrong. We get that vantage point from the outside looking in, and we have a lot more knowledge as well. So, sorry, that's it.
She needed to get him ready to come to the barbecue. That's what we were talking about. That's what we were saying.
No, I got what you were talking about. I just, I am not the type of person who's ever going to be like, oh yeah, stand by him no matter what. Hell no. Okay, sometimes you just got to admit things like it ain't working.
But we're trying to say
JD
that
love can only get so far.
I don't know. I've been married, so I know that you.
Yeah, 3 of us have been married.
Right, like Tamia said, you go through hell and high water with that person that you love, and you hope they would do the same for you, because we're not perfect, and we all go through some craziness as you get older, and sometimes you can't dictate how the story is being told, but so you look forward, that person that you married is that person that's going to keep you sane until this blows over, or so you can make it to the next stop in your life. And you would hope you have somebody like that in your life, because most of us are going to go through some really bad times, and you want to have one person, at least the person you said, until death do you part, is the person that's going to stand by you.
Right. You really hope that, because the fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is that none of us really want to face up to is that, our shit stinks too, and none of us are peaches, and we're human and we mess up. I'm not saying that that John Walker's behavior is behavior that is easily excusable to me from the outside looking in. But then again, also, I didn't sign up to be in the military either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I made decisions to not do certain things or be trained certain ways, but, and so I'm just saying it's all about context and how you look at it. We just spent all this time talking about how he actually did what he was trained to do and what he was paid to do. He just happened to do that. And it's an unpalatable truth, and we don't like it. But I don't, but because he has this dichotomy between his ideal of what Captain America is and his actions, he starts to fracture. Right. And when you're fracturing, when you're falling apart, when your world is falling apart and your worldview is falling apart, the last thing you want is the person that's supposed to love you to run away. That's not what love is. Love is not easy and convenient. Love is sticking it out when shit is going hard.
Yep.
That's what love is. So I just think it's a little idealistic to say, like, okay, like, you messed up, I'm out. That, I mean, I get what you're saying, because his actions were really horrible. I'm not saying that I don't get it. I'm just saying that I think that a blanket statement about that is difficult to say, is difficult to back for me.
Yeah, because she,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Because I don't know, because it's a really weird thing, because Like, that's like what you're saying very much. But then, I don't know, like, let's say the spouses of killer cops, like, because that's essentially what you were comparing John to. So you're like, and it kind of goes to that level of defense of, like, yeah, sure, he murdered an innocent man, and he sees a lot of bad things. So, we're just gonna stick by. And so, like, at some point, it's not a matter of love; it's a matter of your own moral compass, because you're the one who's still betting down with that first.
That's a valid point, although I think it's oversimplifying the argument a little bit.
Well, you have to go back to whether you say that guy was an innocent man. I mean, killing somebody who is, on a parking, a moving violation in a car, and you kill somebody is different from a flag smasher. I mean, the guy was one of this group that was doing all this. Just because he was the one that didn't happen to kill Lamar, he is in this group that did bomb a place that, 3 people died, the week before. So he was not an innocent, this guy, but he was not the particular one that killed Lamar. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, Olivia's like, my husband was okay. He did the right thing. This group killed 3 innocent people last week, and now they're wanted. She said it herself. Probably said, yeah, we're criminals now. Right. So anyway, but we could be on this.
we are way
so I'm going to lead us on to the next point. We're going to stay here talking about this, but we will give Olivia a point for staying with John. We're going to give Olivia a minus point for not getting them ready for the barbecue. And okay, so go, JD. What's our next point we're going to talk about?
On the subject of barbecues, Bucky's not invited to the Conda cookout anymore. That was a scene.
That was definitely a scene. She said, "Do not show your face to Wakanda for a while."
Bucky is out from the barbecue.
In the moments before,
he's still a white wolf.
In the moments before, we do see, we see him. He shows growth. He could have shot Zemo dead, but he chose not to. So
wait a minute. Are we skipping episodes?
No.
Zemo goes away in episode 5?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You obviously did not watch this episode.
I did. I just watched them all over again. I just keep wanting to put it in episode 6 for some stupid reason.
No. That's a tense scene. That's a tense scene.
What's left of Sokovia?
Okay.
Which,
sorry.
I gotta say, I give Marvel props for the way they dismantled Sokovia as a nation. Just being all like, and once we had Ultron and everything happened, all the other places, rather than help, just decided, oh, this is my land now, and no more Sokovia.
No more.
Yeah.
Because that felt terribly realistic.
Absolutely. It got annexed.
And I thought that it was really interesting, the little mind games that Zemo was playing with Bucky in that scene, because when Bucky pulls the gun up and he's gonna shoot Zemo just gave him, he did the little head tilt. And remember when Zemo said there's still a little bit of the Winter Soldier in there? He wanted to see if he could still command him. And it was almost as if Zemo was saying, yes, shoot me. And then when Bucky did it and the gun didn't, the bullet didn't come out, Zemo was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised. But I think they were messing with each other so much in that scene. But Zemo was messing with Bucky, and Bucky was messing right back at him. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm actually watching the scene now. And I gotta say, Zemo, it's not until you see him literally look up down the barrel of a gun, just willing to die, that you realize, oh yeah, Zemo is a man with nothing to lose. He has lost his wife, his kids. His only mission in life is just to destroy superheroes now. That's it. Yep. That's all he has left. He doesn't even have a home to go back to.
Right. He doesn't even have a home.
That was a little dark for, Zemo. Just
True.
I'm going to give it to Daniel Bruhl. I mean, I love him. I love that actor. I could watch anything Daniel Bruhl is in. Thank you. That was a great scene. Although I did not appreciate him calling a Oyo, hey. I was like, whoa, what's up? And then you're going to ask for a favor? You're going to yell at a sister? Wait a minute now.
I think they're very familiar.
Yeah, they're intimate.
I know they are.
I mean, not intimate in a sexual way, but
I know what you mean. I think there's an intimacy there. Not sexual, but I'm just saying there's more. There's a lot going on there that we don't
explain
know
it
about.
to me again. This is the third point.
All this stuff.
Like,
She helped save his life. She knows his intimate thoughts and feelings, and there's a comradeship and a level of closeness that only comes through that type of emotional toil with one another. Like she helped him through the hardest thing he's ever been through. So they're way past. She can say hey. Yeah. And she understands it.
All right.
Just like she could call him James.
Right. Just like she can call him James. Exactly. So,
what did she say?
And what's wrong with saying hey?
She damned him to boss. Oh my God. That actress is the one I would like to give a shout out to. That is Florence Kasumba. Yes. She's an Ugandan actress. She lives in Berlin. She is phenomenal. If you guys have not watched Assembled, which is one of the extras that comes on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, please do, because they do a whole hour on how this show is put together. And she has a great little scene in there where she talks about the fact that she and the other Dora Milaje women that play those parts, they stay in training all year, waiting for the call from Marvel to come back and do that scene. Do their scenes. I love that.
Awesome. I love
that. That is so dope. Like the Dora Milaje are a cadre of women, not just on the screen, but off the screen too. I loved hearing that.
I just love that. But that was like, it's a real thing,
right?
It's a real thing.
Can I start training to be a Dora Milaje? Like, will somebody start teaching me? Because I want to do that. Like, when you go to conventions and you see all the stormtroopers come in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, screw stormtroopers. We should go as the Dora Milaje like all the time. SyFy Sistas, Dora Milaje. Yes.
Okay, we won't do it this year at STLV. We'll wait till next year.
We'll wait till
Chicago.
Awesome.
Can we wait till we can all do something together?
Well, that's
since
what
we're
I'm
not
saying.
all going to be. Yeah.
Are we all going to? We should all go to Chicago and do it. So
we should all go to Chicago.
Well, that's another podcast. But go ahead.
Write in and let us know which conventions you think the SyFy Sistas should be at.
Okay, so Florence, if you're listening, Florence, we love you.
And we know you are.
And we know you are.
We love all the Dora Milaje and love that you guys
and we love you, sister. I was talking about her voice last time. Remember, I was talking about like how I could listen to her. She could just read the ABCs, and I'd be so copacetic.
I could just watch her walk anywhere.
Dig it. I could just watch her just arch that one eyebrow. I could just watch her give looks and give shade all day long. Like, oh my word, did you invent that word, shade? Oh, 3 SyFy Sistas snaps in a circle and all that.
If you want to watch it, she's just finished shooting a movie about another production of A Midsummer's Night's Dream, where she will be playing Hippolyta in that production. So it just finished. So I don't know when it's going to actually show up on anything, but I'll look for Florence in that.
I think she is an uncommon presence. Like, she has this presence on the screen. She just demands your attention. Oh, yes. And one of the things that I love about her so much is like that posture. She has that posture of command, but it's elegant, and it's just like I shall not be moved. She's immovable. She's solid. She's steady every time. She's amazing to me. And yes, I really, really, really want to start training as a Dora Milaje. So if anybody out there lives in the DC area and you can start training me, a really novice beginner, let's do this. DM me.
All right, before this gets any more out of control, we're gonna take it down a notch. I feel like everything's too happy. Let's get a little depressing and goes back to Baltimore.
Back to be more
depressed when this was Baltimore.
But this was my
Sam
scene.
showing up. I hate Baltimore. We have Sam showing up.
Would you stop dissing on other people's cities? First, you're pissing all over New Jersey. Now you're pissing on Baltimore.
If they can show me the garden, I will happily let them be.
Come over. You can smell it from here. No,
oh my God. Baltimore is a great city, okay?
Baltimore has some great restaurants.
Baltimore is a fantastic city. I love Baltimore. It's right down the road from me. And you get to go there. You not only do you get to go to fantastic restaurants, which was really cool. But I have a lot of friends that live in Baltimore in these fabulous houses, right? Beautiful crime. It's affordable. It's mixed as hell. Baltimore is quirky. I mean, John Waters, Baltimore.
Yeah,
Baltimore. Come on, man.
I'm not a Baltimore person.
Crabs.
I don't like Baltimore.
Has a great
you
music
guys,
scene.
Don't get me started on your crabs.
Baltimore has a great music scene, a great artist.
It's awful.
I will defend Baltimore. I will defend Washington, D.C. and Baltimore all day long to anybody.
I mean, you can do that. It's a losing battle. I'm from the West Coast. I got my own bad.
What y'all got? You got a house that's newer, that's older than 60 years old on the West Coast? What you got?
I would take Oakland over Baltimore every day. Okay.
Oakland?
Yeah,
Oakland's nice. I like Oakland.
Yeah. Oakland's
I'm just not a hater
place.
on other cities. I can't hate that hard on other cities. Okay, there's one that I can hate that hard on.
Yeah, I'm
not going to say what it is.
I don't have to like every city. Stop taking it as a personal attack.
What is happening?
We totally don't.
All right, I'm going to take over the host of this show, and I'm moving us on to the next.
I think we're all just
I was trying to move on, but Tamia got in her Baltimore feelings, okay?
I think we're trying to avoid
Baltimore.
We're trying to avoid the heaviness that is the scene with Isaiah, but it's so real.
House now. Yeah, this is the scene. This is the
scene. This is why I said I love this episode so much more than episode 6. Because of this scene. Because this is the scene this is the speech for real for me. This is the scene that, I think this speech and the speech in episode 6 go so well together. But Isaiah, I mean, first of all, Carl Lumbly just breaks me down in tears. He's so effective. The pain that Isaiah went through, he just makes it so real, and I have to stop for a second. That's all I got right now.
Yeah, it was a great scene of the older generation having gone through everything that they have gone through, and here he has this younger Sam coming in to tell him, I love it when Sam he says, "Is that what I think it is?" And he starts to unzip that case that the shield is in. He says, "Leave it covered. Them stars and stripes don't mean anything to me." I was like, oh, here we go.
I mean, I took notes on this scene, and I've got almost every line of dialogue that Isaiah says is like, yep, that, yep, that.
It's so pertinent today. I mean, we're seeing this all happen today, especially now that we are recording this. We're recording this on the anniversary of the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre, and we, has another scene of real African American history that has been erased, and so we, do a rewatch of this scene with Isaiah Bradley, who then talks about another horrific episode in American history that was erased. And he said they've been doing this to us for 500 years. And, we have this struggle now with the 1619 project being made to be dubious and being Can you expound upon that a little bit? If you're going to mention, please mention. I don't think a lot of people are familiar with the 1619 project. The 1619 project is a amalgamation of essays by Black historians that tells the history of the Black people's experience here in the United States since 1619, when the first slaves were brought to America. And there have been a lot of people who have said that this is not a correct retelling of this is a retelling of history. It's not correct. They don't want to hear it, even though it is won Pulitzer Prize and it's gone on to be taught in schools. And it's an uncovering of a lot of things that are not taught in the public school system, like the Tulsa Massacre, like this experimentation on American Black GIs during World War II, which are all true things. This is not Marvel fiction. So this scene of Isaiah Bradley saying that this is what they've been doing to us for 500 years just resonated with anyone Black who's watching this and knows anything about our history. It was bone chilling. It was just absolutely bone chilling.
I just think that I had to go to college before I started learning anything about Black history that wasn't Frederick Douglass, George Washington Carver, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves.
That's all you got. Martin Luther King. Okay.
Right, Martin Luther King. We love us some Martin Luther King. Hated some Malcolm X. That's how I was taught. I'm not saying that was my opinion. I mean, that was just, and it was literally going to college before I, and I had my first class where I had to read Up from Slavery. Mm-hmm. And my world was so changed, and I feel so when we talk about burying our history, our history being erased, us being erased, the power of learning about myself, of learning about the people that I came from. This is so important. I can't understate the importance of that one simple phrase. They've been doing that to us for 500 years. Most Black people in this country cannot trace their lineage. We can't trace it back to through slavery, most of us. We can't trace it back to which nation or tribe we came from in Africa. We can't. I watch, anybody ever watch Henry Louis Gates, Finding Your Roots?
Finding Your Roots, yeah.
Finding Your Roots. And you notice when all the white guests, they can go back generations, generations and generations. They can go back like 1,000 years sometimes, or 100 or it's 500 years. And have their entire history and say this person did this and this person did that. And it's this sense of identity and of empowerment, like who you came from. And we can barely go back a couple of generations in our country. So we lost not only, it makes it seem like you're not relevant until you're relevant as we started to use you, as chattel and as slaves, but and also what's even more important and more hurtful is the huge civilizations, these great civilizations that were alive and thriving in Africa far beyond when any white folks even knew what proper hygiene was. Mm-hmm. And that you literally don't shit where you eat or sleep. And we had complete irrigation systems going on in the continent of Africa. To not know that I came from that is such a hindrance psychologically. Just when I found out this is what my people have done, going back 2,000, 3,000 BC, it's amazing to me, or however long. It's amazing and it's powerful to, this idea of erasure is a tool of colonialism, and it's very effective in breaking the psyche of the people. It's extremely effective. Most Black people in this country don't know their history, and it's because we're not taught, and therefore we don't think that we when we think of ourselves, the first thing we think is like, oh, we came from slaves. You think slave. And most white people and other people around the world think slave. Not the first people that had irrigation, not the first people that had indoor plumbing, not the first people that knew how to treat all these different ailments, not the first people who looked up into the stars and figured out that the damn planet was rotating around the sun. Not the first people that learned these things, not the first people who built these pyramids, not just in Egypt. I'm saying there's so much more. People, if you haven't watched Henry Louis Gates Jr., Africa's Great Civilizations, find it. Find it and watch it. It's some of the best documentaries on this earth. Our history extends so deep, and it's a well of power and knowledge and identity that we have to work to gain access to. And history began before white folks started paddling on boats trying to see some of the shit and conquer people. British history, Western history is not the beginning of history. No. I'm stepping down from said emotional soapbox.
Just first people, period.
It's not a soapbox. It's not a soapbox. It needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's all to it.
I mean, that's all to
it. It just needs to be heard because this episode is a lot for me. And the next one too. I have a very love-hate relationship with this country. And I think most Black people do. And as a Black American, I know my history, my family history, and I was raised knowing it. And I it took me a long time to know how privileged I was to know that, and that most Black people did not. And then, like you said, when I went to college, I learned all these other things. I grew up with 5%ers and the Muslim Nation, and I knew a lot from people talking. And when you're a kid, you look at them like, what are they talking about? We're from Harlem. That's all I knew. Or we're from Norfolk, Virginia. That's what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, once you know these things, once you know who and what you came from, you just become a different human. You stand straighter. You believe in yourself a little more. It's no one could. And then you get to the point in your life where you're like, who are you talking to? Who I am? I am the descendant of kings and queens. You can take that on. And before we started really knowing about our history, you could tell a lot of people don't want to take on that African persona or know that history. They don't want that to be part of them. They want to be these, Americans, just Americans. And I think I thought that too, that I'm just an American and that's it. But I like the fact that I'm an American, but I have an African ancestry. And that makes me proud also, because I do know the history of those people. But I never want to take away from the slaves that I came from, because those people were important also. And I know people say, oh, it didn't start with slaves. Okay, it didn't start with slaves, but please don't erase those people.
Right.
But those people, they built this goddamn country.
Right.
Literally. And I mean, literally, these are people who, I don't know those people in Africa, but I do know more about these people here in this country. So I always start with the slaves in my family because I know who they are and they mean something to me. So I just, please, we can be happy about Africa and everything, but never forget about the slaves in this country who we came from. I mean, literally came from.
Right. I'm sorry.
I understand what you're saying. We have a very complicated history. Like you said, we don't know where we came from. So we take the whole continent and want to, really hold on to it. But we do know, most of us know where we came from when it comes to the slave part. Most of us do. Right. And I always want to make sure those people never get lost, because those people, they built this country, and this is our country. And I love this country. Like I said, I have a love-hate, but just like in this whole thing that Sam is dealing with, I felt it, because, and Lamar, I fought for this country, right. My family, I come from a long line of people who fought for this country. And we never thought anything different. We just felt that this was something we needed to do. But we understood that this country hates us and doesn't think of us as Americans. But I know I'm an American, and that was more than enough. And that's my soapbox. Go ahead.
Which is not a soapbox because it needs to be said.
I want to point out one more. I mean, Tamia just gave us a great documentary, but I will give you another one for what Yvette was just talking about, what slaves did here in this country. And the documentary is called High on the Hog, and it's on Netflix right now. And it is the history of what Black people brought to this country through food. And you would think that that's, not a big deal, but it is an amazing 6 episodes. And when you see what the wealth that was brought here, what Black people contributed through their toil, labor, work, cooking, food, I mean, the things that are so American now that came from Africa, I had no idea. So again, more erasure that, I just learned this last weekend when I was watching High on the Hog. Take a look at it. It's on Netflix. It is an amazing journey from Benin through the Middle Passage, all the way to the beginning of slavery, to, Reconstruction, the 30s, right up until today. And it's all about what we have brought to this country through the culinary point of view, but it's a lot of history that I had never heard before. So check it out. It is really all about, what we brought over here and what these slaves did. So back to Bucky. Okay, wait a minute.
I'm sorry. I got one more thing because
you got it all.
Because
drop some knowledge, girl.
This word erasure, we use it a lot in vocabulary today now, and it makes it sound like it's a really very passive thing, like it's just a thing that happened, right? Like, but nobody exerted agency over making it happen. Erasure includes things like whipping people for speaking their own language, or whipping people for worshiping their own gods. Erasure is an active word, and it took actions to do so. It's not just about not telling the truth. It took decisions to hide history and to decide to write history books with only one version of the truth.
Right.
To
codify things, put it in laws.
Erasure also includes the breaking up of families. Right? How do you have a family unit? How do you can erase familial bonds and connections between one another when you separate mothers from children and wives from husbands and brothers from sisters, and literally send them, hundreds or 1,000 miles away from one another. Erasure includes naming me something that's not in my tongue, giving me a name that's from your culture. Erasure it's a word that I think that we sort of skim over, and and in this new Blackness now that people like to throw around, there's a whole new wave of vocabulary that's out there coming from younger people who are studying this stuff in colleges and stuff, and this is my terminology for this. Now that's great, but what does that terminology mean? Break it down into concrete, into something living. Language is a living thing, and what does that really mean to me? So, when I think about erasure, I just want to let people know that, it's not a concept. It's actions that happen that have consequences. That's all.
And it's done by the guys in the ties.
Yes, sir.
It's done by the guys in the ties.
The guys in the ties. Don't get it twisted, because this stuff is not things that, it's a when we say systemic racism, and which is another term that people just like to bandy about and say it isn't true, it's the guys in the ties making laws, making policies, making this really happen to change, corral, erase, make it like it never happened. No, we're not going to teach that. No, we're not going to say that. it's amazing. It's insidious, and you have to be on it all the time. And I really appreciate this. Here we go. It's a Star Trek moment. It's like a Gene Roddenberry kind of thing where you were trying to show somebody something in a way that they can easily digest it. Okay, if you're not going to listen to hours of news and you're not going to read the paper, maybe you're going to go to Disney Plus and you're going to watch a TV show about a superhero, and you'll finally understand what erasure of Black culture really means. So that's how you need to get it. Thank you very much.
Right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
So, okay.
Lead us on, sister
Black
girl.
history.
Lead us on.
Must I? This is where, my dear audience, I'm going to lose enthusiasm greatly. Because our next scene is the boat scene, where we start fixing the boat. Yes, after talking to Isaiah, where he lets him know, America will never allow a Black man to carry a shield, and no self-respecting Black man would want to, which, okay, I said I had no F points, but that was a good line because it does carry a lot of weight behind it, of just like you wouldn't want to. Like Yvette was talking about what the complicated relationship Black people have with the country. It's just that idea, why are you simping for the same country that literally tried to arrest you for yelling at a white man last time you was here? This is what you want to be the symbol of. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing.
You got that white friend and you think you're different.
Yeah. And
haven't we all heard that one before?
Yeah. And Sam says, but the world is different now. I know people.
Right? I was like,
that's my favorite.
Oh, baby.
And you know what? I mean, I can't say Sam was wrong. Because Sam, he does know people. He has friends in high places. He could make things happen.
You're right.
But that's not most Black folks.
Right.
I come from that family who, I know people. I have done the military 4th of July at the White House. I've shaken hands with the Obamas. But look, I know people, but that ain't gonna help most Black folks. No, I'm at a privileged Black person level. That's what that is. It's that my life is never gonna help that person who is out there struggling because their entire district has always been redlined. And that's something, again, Sam, he wants to help. We all want to help, but sometimes you just gotta realize, this is nothing like what I was raised in.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that line where Sam says, "Yeah, I'm from the South. I get it." And I was like, "No, baby boy, you don't get it."
No, you don't get it, because then Isaiah had to start breaking this down to him. He's showed him his scars. He's told him about his wife. And how they, he told him that whole story, which was honestly, I could skip the rest of the stupid episode. This is where the meat of this episode is right here. I don't have anything else to say about Sam practice and montages and throwing shields around trees and whatnot. I don't care. As a matter of fact, in my notes, I wrote Sam practices with shield. Big whoop. Okay. The only whoop that it is that he's accepting his role finally. Yeah. Okay. Yay. We know that. That takes one sentence. Going back to Isaiah. Going back to Isaiah, for the whole reason that this episode exists is for Isaiah's story, right? And man, there's so much heartbreak there. It humanizes, it's a, don't I bleed? I had a wife. I had a woman I loved, and they told her I was dead. Not only did they tell her I was dead, they kept her letters from him for 30 years. On him. And, they tortured him. They did all those experiments on him for 30 years. 30 years.
To see why it worked.
And just to really drive home for the audience who, hasn't done the math, because I didn't. I believe Isaiah fought in the Korean War, which started in 1950. 30 years from that would be 1980. Some of you might have just been born, all right? So it's a while, okay? Like, dude went in jail without rights and couldn't drink at certain water fountains, came out, he's a whole citizen suddenly. He's not, he's dead. But he could have been.
He's dead. He's dead, Jim.
He's dead. He's dead. Yeah. Okay. I guess I've run out. I've wrung this subject dry. But I mean, I agree with you, JD. Like, I mean, after this, I lost enthusiasm for the rest of this episode too.
There was just a good talk with Sam and Bucky. That was kind of
no. There is one scene that sort of watching and listening to everyone talk, that I liked, because I was watching the scene where John is explaining to Lamar's family what happened.
Oh, yes.
You mean when he lies?
Yes. And he lies. Yeah.
He does. And he knows he lies. Like, you could see it in his face. Like, he knows he is straight up lying.
The sister was on it. She knew.
He was like,
yeah. Yeah.
Right. They were like, is this the man?
Watching John with that family? Like, that was... I got the feeling like this is a man who has been to a cookout. What the hell? How is he still acting like this?
Yeah, I got the same feeling.
I was like,
mama, wait, he knows these people. I'm like, what is happening here? What is going on
that
with
black
this?
mama cared for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
I had a hard time watching that scene, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is Black Mama doting on him. In the way it was.
She looked like she was bamboozled.
Right. And he just loved you. He loved you. He thought he would have followed you anywhere. Yeah.
That's what what's his name again? What was the guy's name again?
Which one, Lamar?
Lamar.
So, but that's how Lamar felt about him.
Right. She just ate it up. She was just like, oh, he can do no harm. Everything. She just, poor baby. She was so hurt that she would have believed anything. Yeah. That he said.
And he told her.
And he told her anything. And so my question was, and I guess I can't blame her a lot either, because I can now, rewatching this after our previous conversations, Yvette, I always think of her reaction. I always think of them in terms of battle buddies now. And that adds, right. So thank you so much for expounding upon that, because it adds so much more depth to their relationship. And she's the mother of the battle buddy, right. So like, I really can't fault her that much, but it's just difficult. It's hard to watch. And then how he lies to them. I'm like, my original thought was that he's rationalizing in his own mind what he did. Like, this is the truth that he's telling them, and he's trying to start believing this truth now too, because I never got the sense that he was being cagey about how he lied. I thought he was really like so mentally undone that this false version of reality is now his truth.
I just thought that he just couldn't, like you said, they're battle buddies, and he's coming to tell them about how their son died after he's been through so much with them, that he just couldn't tell them that he didn't get the person. So he was going to lie. He just couldn't bring himself to tell them.
I thought he was trying to justify the fact that he killed the wrong person.
I feel like, and it's one of those blink and you miss it things, because I just went to the wiki, because I wasn't sure I was remembering it right. Lamar isn't just a battle buddy. Lamar is someone John has known since high school, because Lamar makes a comment about how he failed drama class.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
They have known each other for God knows how long.
They go way back.
Well, they're like, aren't they like Bucky and Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like this is a family who has quite literally, they don't just know John, like they have watched John grow up. And I don't know.
He couldn't come home and tell them that he didn't kill the guy that killed their son. He just couldn't tell them that. But I think his sister knew that he was lying.
Well, because she probably watched him grow up too and saw the real him.
Yeah,
she knows him.
She probably knows him well enough to know when he's lying.
Yeah. So I didn't think there was anything that he was trying to pull one over on them for some nefarious reason. I think he just couldn't bring himself to say, I got Lamar killed and I didn't get the killer.
Okay. I thought that he couldn't bring himself to say that because he can't accept that reality.
Well, I think that's part of it too. I think that's true. He's not even going to tell anybody that. Not even himself.
Right. Not even himself.
Not even himself. And when you start doing stuff like, what's the name of the episode? Truth. Right. And truth will always come up to the top. It's going to come out, and you can't hide it and tell yourself the wrong thing, and eventually it comes out.
Yeah. And after that scene, we have more montage. Sharon is talking to a mysterious character who speaks French. Guys, it's Fat Truck. I'm sorry if you hadn't picked that up by now, but he's the only man who speaks French in the entire MCU.
The whole MCU.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Look, I'm just saying. So Sharon, she knows Batroc. She's calling shots. Who could she be? I mean, obviously we know the answer, but I'm going to tell you next episode.
We don't know the answer until next episode, exactly.
I know the answer.
We all know the answer. Marvel people know the answer.
You're the Lord of the Easter eggs and the Lord of the episodes.
I mean, if you're not a deep Marvel fan, if you're not up on stuff, then you don't know the answer.
If you are that one person I keep telling to watch the episode before listening, you may not know the answer, but I know the answer. And with that, we really do come to the end of the episode. I cannot pretend to care about a training montage. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then they set up the next episode. They set up the last episode.
Yeah, I will say Sam, he's ready to accept the shield. He trains with the shield. He learns how to use the shield. Carly, we see that the GRC council is being held hostage. Who could it be by? I don't know. That's really all we got. Roll credits, and then make sure Disney Plus does not skip ahead, because this episode had a post-credit scene.
Yep.
So don't hit that button that says next episode, people.
Right. Yeah, don't let Disney make you miss this, because the post-credit scene, we get John welding himself a new shield. He puts his medals of honor on that thing. This man apparently has a very valued skill in, what is it? It's not carpentry, metalworking, and yet he's concerned about being Captain America. Dude, you could be making bank. I'm just saying.
He's got a trade.
With your artisan craft. Yes, right. You could.
That was a great.
Why do you feel the need to beat ass? Like when you could just weld metal?
You're on Etsy.
Right. You could be making fake shields for people online, like John.
But he doesn't have any vibranium.
Look, his brand name would be Captain Wannabe.
I'm just saying. Oh, and imagine the markup. Like, oh, this shield was literally made by the former Captain America. Dude, like, come on. Like, you need
get
someone
yours
to
now before they're all gone.
Done with John Walker. Like, I've never been so angry to learn someone has an honest to God skill. I mean, no, but seriously, like, it's no wonder he could just, like, rip apart Sam's wings and disable Bucky's arms. Apparently, the guy knows how to use metal.
And with that,
I want to give a shout out to the writer of this episode, because this was such a heavy episode. I just want to call him out. His name is Dalan Muson, Dalan, and last name is Musson. And believe it or not, this is a white guy that wrote this episode. So I want to shout out to this ally. Thank you, my white brother, for giving us all of this information and really breaking it down. I know, Nate Moore, who is the VP of Marvel Studios, who's also producing this, has got a lot to do with this, and also Malcolm Spellman, who is the head writer. But this was an incredible episode, and I really want to give a shout out to this. And well done.
Well done indeed.
Yes.
So
Very well done.
Wow, we have talked the hell out of this episode, haven't we?
Yeah.
It was good, though. I told you guys there was a lot to talk about with this episode.
I mean, it's just really one scene that took a long time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there was a lot to dissect in one scene.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like it was evenly distributed throughout the episode, but it was there. It was there.
It was there.
So we want to know everybody's thoughts on what we discussed today, or anything else about this episode, number 5, Truth of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Or if you just want to say hi to us, say how you doing, SyFy Sistas, Yvette, where can people reach us?
You can find us at SyFySistas.com. That's SyFySistas.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP. And the SyFy Sistas Book Club, both on Facebook. On Instagram, it's syfy.sisters. And we are also on Twitter at SyFy Sistas.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We can't wait to see you on the next show when we go into The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 6, One World, One People. But before we sign off, I just want to say thank you, Dose, the anonymous one. He is the baddest engineer in the galaxy. He's also responsible for all the music that you hear on our show. And if you need his services for music or for engineering, you can find him at dosetheanonymous1@gmail.com. That's DOSTHEANONYMOUS1@gmail.com. We are the SyFy Sistas. Peace, love, and hair grease, people.